Welcome back to another Star Stutter episode of the Chatter Box with King Jacob, and I'm yours truly, King Jacob. And man, we back in the groove, man. And man, we was without power for about 10 days, man. Everything getting back to normal, and so just gonna keep the community prayed up and all that good stuff, man. But we're here, so. Uh, I'm back with the homie. He on the chatterbox again. The homie Icon E. Mr. Millionaire, Mr. I can get in touch with you if I need to. What's up, man?
What's going on, fam?
Man, everything is peace and love, man. Peace and love. So today's topic, man, we're gonna be talking about Gen Gen Z versus Gen X. And I've been in a lot of chat rooms for the last couple of years, man, and all on all type of social media apps in these different chats, and that's been a heavy discussion about Gen Z versus Gen X. And so, before we get started, man, go ahead and tell the people. We all want to know, who is Icon E.
Man, hey, listen, family man, father, you know what I'm saying? Husband, the whole thing. Um, uh, you know, entrepreneur, all around businessman, just try to get out there and just get the word out to people and talk to people and what I mean, and be able to spread more wisdom and just try to touch the people as much as I can. So I mean, that's pretty much it, man. I don't know what to tell you, man. Transporter, transport vehicles around the country. Do my thing on that level. But other than that, it is what it is.
Okay. That's what's up, man. Family man, business man. People person. God fearing man. All the above,
Yeah,
man.
definitely. God, definitely
Um,
God.
you know, yes, sir. Acquiring knowledge and spreading wisdom. That's great. We need that in the world. So, Gen Z versus Gen X. What does this topic mean to you?
So basically, I always get Gen Z and Gen X. Okay, so what years would that qualify for? Like, I sometimes I don't the Gen Z, Gen X. So what years are we talking about with the Gen Z and the Gen X?
Gen X is our generation, and
Mm-hmm.
Gen Z is your son's generation.
Got you. So basically, I just think our generation, we was raised a whole lot different. We was raised in a different time, in a different era where you didn't have cell phones early on. You didn't have internet, social media, so you had to go get it from the mud, you know what I mean? And you was taught to do certain things like how to plant foods and how to grow your own foods. And, you had to walk to the store and take your bicycle. And sometimes you had to get yourself back and forth from practice for a football game or basketball or whatever. You had to start working early at an early age. You couldn't depend on your mom or whoever to put money in your pocket. You had to depend on yourself and a lot of time to get it from the mud because your mom might have had to work one or two jobs or whatever. So it was just a lot different. We rode bicycles without helmets. You know what I'm saying? What I mean? So we learned how to take a scratch and get up. We knew how to get into fist fights and still live to see another day. And sometimes we become best friends with the person we fought in the neighborhood or whatever. So where this generation is a lot different because they want everything handed to them. They want everything to be not to say we should make things easier for them because that was the whole point. But at the same time, they don't want to go through nothing. Everything is always everybody got anxiety, everybody got mental health issues, everybody going through something, and if they go through just a little bit of something, then it's like all hell breaks loose and they know how to deal with it. So that's my take on
Okay. So for those that don't know, Gen Z versus Gen X, is basically we're talking about the older generation versus the newer generation. And when I say older, I don't mean our grandparents. I mean, the parents that's raising the kids now. If you've been married for 22, 23 years and you got grown kids and you scratching your head and you don't know why the life of you that your kids is doing what they doing because they wasn't raised like that. This is the newer generation. This is the technology generation. This is the generation that don't like the word no and don't want to take no for an answer. And this is the generation that look their parents in the eye and ask them why, or look their parents in the eye and ask them a crazy questions when they know the answer is already no, or when they know that they don't pay the cost to be the boss. And so, in your opinion, Icon E, how we was raised, man, and even if we wanted to say something, we we kind of we did bite our tongue, and then we would come back when it died down and just ask our parents, our grandparents, can we have a conversation with them, and a calm, rational conversation, and they would explain to us why they said no, and the reason why they said no, and why you know this is the way it has to be because you need to have because they would tell you need to have responsibility and accountability. So versus these kids now, the newer generation, every time you tell them no, they got some type of anxiety or they get depressed or you don't love them or why you treat this one, why you treat my brother better than you treat me, why you treat my sister better than you treat me, or or go do some crazy and sneaky mess and after you done said no, go try to ask their mama. You know what I mean? Like, man, we would never do no mess like that. Whatever parents said no, that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you think these kids have the balls and the gumption to try to have a divide between the husband and wife, the mother and the father? You think that one is going to say yes, even though the other one said no? Well, why do they even have that in their mind?
Well, because a lot of time, one of the parents or both parents, they got to like a lot of these parents from our generation, they have a different way of raising the kids. Their parents used to spank them or talk to them a certain kind of way or tell them no, and they didn't want to raise their kids the same way. Um, I was watching TikTok the other day, and I think it was TikTok or Instagram or something, and I seen this lady talking to this her husband, and they had just newly got married. He had a stepdaughter because he was trying to get on his stepdaughter about something, and the mom basically told him, the wife basically told him, you don't chastise my daughter. I brought you into this relationship for me, not for her. So whatever she got going on her that need to be disciplined, whatever, I deal with that or her dad deals with that. You know what I'm saying? You don't have nothing to do with that. And then
Oh, well, back up now. Back up now. But this man that she's married to is feeding her, clothing her. More than likely, she on the young lady is on his insurance. And he makes sure that she's good because he's the man of the house. That's what he does. But you can't say nothing to her. Can't chastise. Can't say nothing to her. What type of marriage is that? And what type of relationship is that?
I mean, so this is kind of my thing. I kind of blame him a little bit because I say, what did y'all establish from the beginning? So if y'all been married, if y'all married, I don't know how long they was married, but if y'all married, y'all established these ground rules and this from the jump. Like from the jump, you should have already been looking around. Okay, what's my role and how? Because the first thing when a man and woman be together, you got to be looking like how child and how do I fit into all of this? Because if I can't be because this is what I want women to hear this that really really hear this I'm about to say. At the end of the day, a man is a man first before he's a father, before he's a husband, before anything else. He a man, and if you don't allow a man to be a man in his own house, then it's not gonna work, ladies. It's not. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, if that man is the man of the house, you got to treat that man like a king. You don't gotta be submissive to him in a way where, like, you just, do everything he says. But at the same time, he's supposed to be the leader. And if the kids look at it, I don't care if y'all been married for 30 years or y'all been married for 2 years. If your kids don't look at that man as being the head of the household, you're gonna have a lot of problems. You know what I'm saying? That's what, because a lot of time it be the mama. I hate to say it. A lot of time it be the mama. She be easy on the kids and whatever. And the dad, when he try to lay down the law, the mama don't want him to do but so much, and it causes some issues. You know what I'm saying? So at the same time, especially, and I hate to say this, especially in the black community, these women sometimes they want to be the man and the husband. You got to choose which one you want to be. If you bring a man into your life to be your husband, you got to let him be the husband and the father, and you got to let him lead. You're trying to be a leader because you used to it for the last 20 years or 15 or 10 years, you should have never brought that man to your house. You should have never married him. If you're not gonna let him be the man, don't bring him into your life.
That's right. That's right. So we're gonna take a quick commercial break to pay some bills, and we'll be right back live on Chatterbox TV with King Jacob and yours truly, Ikon E. All right, we're back. So we're talking about Gen Z versus Gen X. Basically, um, that's the politically correct term nowadays, but the older generation versus the younger generation. And speaking of the older versus the young generation, now you have a son that I'm pretty close to, consider him as my nephew. And we've had some great intellectual conversations about business, but about life as well. So for me, talking to your son and being around him, he acts more like he's from our generation than his generation. And so, what did you do to put those qualities of being a manly man and him taking accountability and him understand that life is all about responsibility? Like with him being under 30 years old, how did you kind of shape him to help him understand, because he's married now, and you know he's about to be a father any day now. So what did you do to shape him as a man?
I just was always talking to him about a man's responsibilities as far as accountability. Going out there and hustling, getting what getting yours. Don't of allowing other people to take care of you or whatever,
Hmm.
and you know at the same time understanding how to treat people. Whether it's your friends, whether it's your family, whether it's women. I was raised by my grandmother and my mom, and a lot of older people, a lot older women was in my life. I didn't have a lot of male role models growing up, so I had to lean on strong black women in my around my circle, and so I always kind of taught him how to just like especially treat his mom and his sister, and he'd be a protector. Because about my son, he don't like conflict or whatever, but if you mess with his mom or his sister, all hell gonna break loose. Like brother or whatever. He's just that way. He like me and him talked a couple of weeks ago when he was like, "Dad, I just watched." A lot of times it wasn't what you said; it's the way you moved, the way you did stuff. So I sat back a lot of time and just watched. You know what I'm saying? You didn't always have to say what it was. I just kind of seen what it was by watching you go out. He said, "I used to see you," and it kind of threw me off when he said this. He said, "See you, Dad. You'll go to work all day long, sometimes work 2 jobs, and then go out to the club with these artists and manage these artists or go show your face at an event or a club or something, and then come back the next day and do it all over again." He said, you sometimes was tired and you even complained a little bit, but you still got the day and went out and did it all over again. And you always was there for me, my sister and brother. No going on, you was always there. So he said, so you didn't lie. He said most time you didn't say nothing. I just watched how you move, and that's the big thing with men. But we got to understand, man. We don't know who's watching. And he even told me, he said, my friends in school, they look at you like a father because they have dads. He said, I got friends 10 years ago. When they see me, they be like, how pop? Or I need to talk to pops, and they be like, my dad don't even, he might not even remember who you are. So, which one talk? He said, oh, I just need some advice, and I was like blown away by that because I'm just like, I just be me. I don't try to be nobody else. I'm not fake, phony. I'm just who I am, and you take it how you take it. I'm blunt because that's how I was raised. My mom, grandmother, uncles, dad, everybody was blunt. They tell you exactly how they feel, and they sugarcoat it. And it is what it was, what it was.
Okay. So now I will say this about the younger generation. The younger generation is really sharp when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to figuring out something, when it comes to their mindset, when it comes to the technology. They're really sharp, man. The younger generation been and made 60,000 dollars in 3 days off the computer on an app. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? They they're 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 really sharp, but when it sometimes when it comes to them, when it comes to understanding how life works and how it fluctuates and how it functions and how life gonna life, regardless of how much money you have, sometimes I think really they don't get it. You know what I mean? Because every young person I know want to be famous. Believe that. I
Mm-hmm.
have not seen so many young people get so many photo shoots in my life. Um, I be telling my little cousin, I say, man, y'all 17, man, and y'all ain't really been nowhere seen the world, but y'all still celebrities. I said, man, y'all be dressing like y'all about to go to the Grammys. I said, man, but I just don't think they really get it when it comes to society. Cause society will chew you up and spit you out. Society don't care who you are. Society ain't got no color, race, creed, or no face. Society is gonna life, and it will chew you up and spit you out. You know what I mean? Uh, the world is a place that it owes nobody nothing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like I heard Tracy Morgan say, God gonna give you the business, but He ain't gonna manage the business for you.
Mm-hmm.
He gonna put you in some places that you need to be.
Yeah.
Once he opened that door, you can't let it close.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as far as on a mental and emotional level, why do you think the young men are so emotional nowadays?
Well, because of there's not enough male role models in these young men's life. So a lot of time you ever see a young man, and I've seen a lot in Atlanta, especially around my kids' friends, and I'm like, a lot of them, they have like what you call like female tendencies, but they not homosexual. They just that's what they was
They
watching.
soft. They
Huh?
soft.
Yeah.
They soft.
Well, I wouldn't even necessarily say the word soft. It's just because they've seen how they moms and they people around them, there's all women move, and so they what taught how to, like I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna tell you a crazy story. When I was a kid, I used to have like what they call like a pimp walk. So I taught myself how to walk with a pimp, and people like with like bob to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I did that on purpose because it's like I feel like it was a manly thing to do. To walk with that little swag about me. So when my friends see me coming, they're like, they go eat, they go eat. You see that walk. So it's like certain things that you learn as a young man to do it. Like I seen a guy earlier today, and he was with his wife or whatever, and he holding her pocketbook. And I'm like, men don't hold pocketbooks. Like when we start doing that, you know what I'm saying? Like that's something you just don't do. You know what I mean? Like well, I wish a woman would tell me hold my, man, that she like, for say to tie her shoe or something, or to get up from the table or something. Like I hold it for you, but I ain't about to walk into the car. with your pocketbook in your hand. Look, I carry the groceries, and you carry your pocketbook. But we ain't about to do this. But I just think that it's just lack of father figure or male role models in these men's life. That's why they don't know it like the word no. That's why you see going out here and shoot women in the face and beating them up and all that because they have no. And it's crazy when you was raised by women and then you end up disrespecting the same women that you was raised by, and then you think it's okay to talk to your mom or whoever any kind of way. It blows my mind.
All right.
You know what I mean? It really
I
does.
understand. I understand. So why it's I think it's tough with kid not having no father in the home, and I think it's even more tough when the father's not in the home, but they see these women go through this nonsense with multiple men. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? She's trying to find her identity. She's she's on the dating scene, and it just end up bad, and it can be traumatizing to see your mom go through heartbreak after heartbreak. And
Mm-hmm.
so what do you think that says to a young boy and a young girl on the emotional side and the mental side?
Well, this is what I would say. This is what I would tell. And I ain't gonna call this person. Have to tell this particular person all the time. Watch who you bring around your kids, and don't bring every man that you call yourself wanting to date or want to get in to know around your kids. I respect a woman if a woman was to tell me or whatever, I'm not gonna bring you around my child until I know we gonna be real serious about our relationship. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because if you start bringing too many men around, then all of a sudden, like that's why the young men grow up disrespecting their mom is well, real, you know, a hoe, she was promiscuous or whatever. And the girl, she grew up thinking it's okay. My mom had all kind of different things coming in the house, so why can't I do the same thing? So at the same time, you just be very careful who you bring around kids, and then you never know if you got a daughter. That man might be looking at your girl, your daughter when she walks out. You go to work and your daughter comes down the hallway or up the hallway or come to the kitchen with just a bra and and you know how young girls dress around the house and you get to looking at her next he trying to creep with her when you ain't home. So you better watch what you bring because you just never know. You know what I mean? So and if you're not absolutely sure it's gonna be a good man to bring him in the house, don't bring them. Don't bring all these men in your house. You know
That's
what I
right.
mean?
That's right. Yeah. I can dig it. I can dig it, man. We're gonna take another quick commercial break. Chatterbox TV. We'll be right back shortly. Chopping up with none other than Icon E.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're back, and we're discussing the Gen Z and Gen X, man, and we're discussing the tools that they have when it comes to their smarts, but the tools that they need to use when it comes to paying attention until how the older generation did, and how the older generation is still sustaining in life and just navigating through life. Because you don't navigate through life and be 47, 50, 55 years old just cause, or you don't stay in a marriage for 23, 24 years just cause. That's
Mm.
that's not an easy task. Neither is easy. So if you had to sharpen the younger generation up, what is the first, name me three things that you would kind of sharpen them on?
Um, the main thing I would probably want them to understand how to go out and work for something. So I think any child when you get to a certain age, unless you work in a situation where like your parents have a farm or something like that to work on. Like I started working when I was 15 years old. Never stopped working. So that's the type of thing I would want the kids to understand the value of money. But I think most kids don't understand the value of money until they start making money. And then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, when your money, then you kind of like, oh, you know, I need to budget money because, especially if you want them shoes. My my son come to me, I want a new pair, I want the new Jordans or the new whatever. You know, okay, you're gonna have to work for it. You know what I mean? So you gotta teach kids early on chores and how to get make money. But then secondly, I would say um, get them involved in activities that's going to challenge them mentally and somewhat physically. My son, I ain't gonna lie, my middle son, he wasn't athletic at all. And when he got into band and other stuff, at least I know he was challenging him. He was very serious at school. They used to call him Mr. Jones. He was in middle school. He was so serious. You know what I'm saying? So those type of things. But I would say when it comes to that, that would be something else. And the third thing would just be um, being able to get them to understand that no doesn't mean the end of the world. If somebody tells you no, then you got to figure out how to how to go out and get your yes. So your
Mm-hmm.
yes come from that person that told you no, whether it's a job opportunity, whether it's a sporting activity, whatever it is, acting or whatever. Just because somebody a job, whatever, if somebody tell you no, you go somewhere else and figure it out. Or if you want bad enough, then you keep going after it until you get that. You know what I'm saying? So when we was growing up, if we wanted something bad enough, you ever when you was a kid, and like I'm gonna give you a quick story. I was playing rec ball when I was in like middle school, and I remember I had a pretty good season, but I wasn't good enough at that point to make it on the All Star team. But my
Mm-hmm.
friends, two friends, brothers, they team, and they was like, "Well, just come to practice with us every day and see what happens." So I would go to their All Star practice, and if something happened with one of the players or whatever didn't make it or whatever the case, somebody didn't make it, and they put me on the team. So just by me being, what they call persistent in the situation, and the coach is seeing me there in the wings waiting and whatever, I was put on the team. So that was just one example of that I learned at an early age. If something bad enough, when I also one quick other story, I was in middle school, and I was the man. One of my friends I knew, we weren't even really friends. We were cool. He was the manager of the baseball. Now, manager of baseball in middle school is different from what you see from a real manager, like what you see like in professional ball. Manager when in middle school is like basically being like almost like being a gopher. I ain't gonna lie to you. And you got to get the bats for the players. You got to do certain things, make sure they good, they quick, right. But you get to go on all the trips to go to all the away games and whatever, get to leave class thing. So for whatever reason, I wanted to be the manager of the baseball. At that point, I had gave up kind of playing like that or whatever. Or I think I still played like little league baseball, but I didn't play for the team, the school team. So
Right.
basically, he ended up where he had to quit. I think he had to quit the team for being a manager. I think his work was slipping or he had to work. Something happened, and he recommended me to be the manager, whatever the team. And after that, I was the manager for the rest of the school year. You know what I mean? So just
Okay.
like I said, just by be being persistent and talking to him about it and seeing what was up. At first I was just coming around to practice every day, and then eventually the coach made me the manager for the rest of the season. So you know, uh, and a
Okay.
lot
Okay.
of my friends ain't know nothing about that. Something that I did on my own. My friends I was in the neighborhood, they didn't really know. They knew I was doing it, but you know, they didn't even know how I got that position. You know, so
Well, like you said, persistence, um, being respectful,
hmm
and just being a go getter, and just taking the initiative. You know what I'm saying? To really do it for yourself, and to really be proud of yourself, man. Because we as people should. root for ourselves. You know what I mean? It's okay to root for somebody else, man. But appreciate you who you are. Appreciate yourself. You
Mm.
know, understand that you have this identity that you know people love. You know, there's certain stuff that you know people love about you, and you know that's why they always want to be in your space. So yeah, keep on doing that right there. Keep on doing that right there. So when it comes to how the world is set up, this is an election year, and I see it's a lot of younger kids that talk about political issues.
Mm.
Um, and I see there's a lot of kids that's worried about if the education bill is going to get cut, you
Mm.
know, this new election year. And so, why do you think kids are more in tune with the political issues and really politics as a whole? And why do kids promote on
That's why they promote.
yeah, why you think they're more in tune with like getting their peers to vote? You know, cause I be seeing, you know, little video clips at you know different universities and stuff like that, community colleges, where they really promoting getting out there and vote really heavy. And so, you know, why do you think that is?
Well, you know, it's funny. I think over the last probably, you know, far as we can always remember, we was taught about politics way back in like middle school when you had to
Right.
vote for class president and vice president and secretary and treasurer. So we learned about politics from a very long time ago, and I just think
Hmm.
because of media and the internet, these kids got more. They get information quicker and faster. So we didn't have internet and all that back in our day to get everything. All I came straight from the news, straight from TV or the paper. So we didn't get all the information kids get to kind of make an educated decision on who they want to vote for. That's why when you hear a young person say, "I'm not going to just go Democrat or I'm not going to just go Republican just because my mama or my dad went that way, my mother, my ancestors. I'm going for the best candidate that suits my needs or whatever, or
Right.
who I believe in or gonna help change my situation or whatever the case may be." So I think that's what it's really about because you might hear kids tell you they're gonna vote for Trump or they like Trump better than they like Kamala Harris or whoever based off of whether you like it or not, just based on what they feel like that person is giving them that this other person may not. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
you just like, you just never know what kids is thinking when it comes to who they want to vote for. But because them days, Democrat, Republican, when I'm black, because I got to be a Democrat, or I'm this, I got to be a Republican. Them days is over with. Them days is over with. Mhm.
Long gone. Long gone. Long gone. So you know, shout out to the kids that's pushing for, you know, getting people to vote. Shout out to the younger generation that really understands that you have a voice that's powerful and it does matter. And you know, just keep doing what you're doing because you're the future doctors and the lawyers and the engineers, the
Mhm.
veterinarians, and so forth of tomorrow. So we definitely honor you and support you. So we'll take another quick commercial break, and we'll be right back on Chatterbox TV with none other than the man himself, Ikon E. All right, we're back. So we're talking about Gen Z, Gen X, younger generation versus the new generation, and we're talking about how we can help the younger generations because we're definitely not here to bash them, but we just here to show them how we survived thus far this long. And so, with that being said, um, why do you think society has an agenda to try to shape the younger generation, and sometimes it looks like society don't want the younger generation to be great either. Like when we was younger, a lot of us felt like they didn't want us to be great as well. So why do you think, as you see on the TV, you hear on the radio, with the news, I remember I used to have great stories on the news where people really helping each other in the community, where people could really trust the law officials back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like there was some officers that I know that coached Little League baseball, Little League football, Little League basketball, that was always in the community, even though they worked as police officers, but they were still in the community. Why don't you think we have that anymore like we once did?
Well, when it comes to the police officer neighborhood, the police officers kind of mess themselves up with that. For one, they don't do the due diligence. A lot of them, some I can say, some of them don't do their part as far as going into the community and developing a relationship with the community. And then and then you got some crooked, and you got so many cops that have personal agendas where they'll use the people in the neighborhood to get what they want to case, and don't understand that if you kind of develop relationships with people in the neighborhood, they're gonna be the ones that kind of help you when things go down. But if you or you always going in neighborhoods and beating up on their kids, and just treating them beneath, especially in the black community, if you treat them beneath, treat them not not human beings, then you're gonna get. But I do feel like there's a lot of people that do great things, and this is the one thing. And it's kind of funny. It's a kind of a biblical thing when they say that God don't want you bragging about when you when you help a person out, and when you do charity work. That's not something you're supposed to pump your chest about. But I don't
Hmm.
think I think sometimes some people misuse that ideology because I'm thinking or don't really understand it, because I do think God wants people to see what you're doing in communities to help other people, to bring other people along. What's the whole point of doing something positive for people if nobody sees it? You know what I'm saying? You don't got to chest out, but at the same time, if you want people to join your situation, your cause, you got to let people know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, with so much negativity in media, why not push an agenda that's gonna be positive? Because everything, me and you, if me and you was on here fighting and cussing each other out, our numbers might be through the roof. But the fact that we in here two positive black men, trying to push a positive agenda, or we might not get great numbers or whatever. But that's where we at in society. But that's why everybody looks at, oh well, this generation, they so caught up. You say they caught up and want to be famous that they forget at the same time on how to be great, because they just so and famous now ain't famous like it was. Because you think about it, famous back when we grew up was different because it was a separation. So basically, it was like me and you, and Michael Jackson or Michael Jordan or Magic or whoever. You know what I'm saying? Now, just this generation, everybody famous. So famous people don't even get respect they used because they used to get the famous people used to get protected. They used to be kind of treated a certain way. Where now everybody want to be famous, so nobody gets respect and love like they're supposed to no more. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
right.
yeah, so
I,
so it's crazy, right?
it is, man. So, and man, I just want the community to be safe. So it's nothing wrong with people understanding that the police officers are there to protect and serve. And I will say that some make it bad for others because all of them, some just want to do their job and go home and get back to their family.
Mhm.
They ain't really out trying to rough people up or anything like that, man. But I just say, man, to all the the people that understand this. A good name is worth more than gold.
Mm-hmm.
So if your name is good and it precedes who you are, and they can identify that name with the person that you are, and people have positive things to say about you, you can get more help than you realize from your
Mm-hmm.
city council, from your county councilman, from the local police officers, from the director of education, as far as the superintendent of education in your school district. They want positive people to be in the neighborhoods. And then you have the old school people, man. You know, they gon' they they might like you, they might see you grow up, but if you're doing something wrong, they gonna tell it because they want their neighborhoods protected and secured. And so, with that being said, we have to understand that there's a policy that's put into place to protect the neighborhood, and there's certain people who's been living there for longer than me and you've been born. They gon' they gonna protect their neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what we say, they gon' they gonna stand up and fight for their neighborhood. That's where their kids was raised at. That's what they helped raise their grandkids, their great grandkids coming over there now. So it's like they want their neighborhood protected. So with that being said, we gotta unify and stand as one, and the Gen Z and the Gen X really gotta get along because we can create a powerful force if we do get along. So we're gonna take this last commercial break, and we'll be right back momentarily with none other than Ikon E live with me on Chatterbox TV. All right, we're back. So, Icon, I know you have some announcements to make. Because you always moving and grooving and doing stuff. So, before we close out, is there any announcements that you like to bring? You know, um, to the people, to the audience. You know, go ahead.
Well, real quick, we got another project, another show this Sunday. It's going to be called The Breakdown, with me, my man DJ, and King Jacob. We breaking down albums of the past. So our first album, this first episode, is Be Ready to Die, Pause, and we're gonna be breaking down the songs on the album and what it did for us, what we was at, what we were going through, and that's what it's gonna be. Each week we're gonna be breaking out from back in the day. So I'm very, very excited. It's called The Breakdown Show. So gonna be this Sunday there with King Jacob, DJ. Saying
All right. You heard it first. So, I do want to thank you for tapping in with Chatterbox TV. I'm your host, King Jacob. Um, and and shout out to the executive producers, you know, Kimmy K, Senior G, and then you can also catch the audio version that's powered by the Village Global Network and Zeno FM in 191 countries and counting. You can catch us in places like Haiti, Africa, London, the Czech Republic, and so on and so forth. So, we're here at Chatterbox TV. You know, we're gonna be coming to you twice a week, and we're gonna be bringing you some of your favorite people, man, to really talk about. What they've been doing, for the last 10, 20 years, as far as whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's a school teacher, just the the working people that's in the community that make the economy shake, because the consumers, the working class people that's there every day really make the economy shake. You know what I mean? So I just want to thank you for tuning in to Chatterbox TV and keep it locked. And we'll be bringing you more and more peace and blessings. Everybody have a safe and blessed rest of the week.
no doubt.
We out.